Iran is weighing a United States peace proposal as negotiations to end the months-long war remain deadlocked over the fate of Tehran's nuclear program. Pakistan's army chief traveled to Tehran on Thursday as part of mediation efforts, with Secretary of State Marco Rubio citing expected Pakistani diplomacy as a sign of some progress. Rubio cautioned against overly optimistic expectations and warned that President Trump still has, quote, other options if diplomacy fails. Iran's supreme leader ordered that the country's near-weapons-grade uranium not be sent abroad, a direct rejection of a key American demand. Iran's foreign ministry also dismissed reports that nuclear issues are part of the current talks, saying negotiations are focused on ending the war across all fronts, including Lebanon. The U.S. imposed new sanctions on Iran's ambassador-designate to Lebanon and 8 other individuals for obstructing the peace process. Trump has warned that if Iran rejects his proposals, bombing will resume at a higher intensity than before. Iran has restarted some drone production during the ceasefire, a sign it is rebuilding military capabilities damaged by U.S. and Israeli strikes, according to CNN.
Senate Republicans have canceled plans to vote this week on a roughly $70 billion budget reconciliation package to fund immigration enforcement through 2029. The holdup centers on deep disagreement within the Republican conference over a $1.8 billion anti-weaponization fund proposed by the Trump administration. The fund, drawn from a settlement resolving Trump's lawsuit against the IRS, would compensate people who claim they were unfairly investigated by the Biden-era Justice Department. Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche did not rule out that January 6 rioters who assaulted police could qualify for payments, drawing sharp criticism from members of both parties. Senator Bill Cassidy said the fund only adds to the national debt, while Senator Katie Britt said she did not want people who assaulted Capitol officers to receive compensation. Republicans are also divided over a $1 billion provision that critics say could fund construction of a 90,000-square-foot ballroom at the White House. A bipartisan pair of House members is drafting legislation to kill the fund entirely. Senate leaders say a floor vote is not expected before the Memorial Day recess.
A federal grand jury in Miami has indicted former Cuban President Raul Castro on murder and conspiracy charges tied to the 1996 shoot-down of 2 civilian planes operated by Miami-based exile group Brothers to the Rescue. 4 people were killed in the attack, including 3 American citizens, when Cuban military aircraft downed the planes in international airspace. The indictment, returned by the grand jury in April, was unsealed Wednesday by Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche at a ceremony in Miami honoring the victims. Castro faces 7 counts, including conspiracy to kill United States nationals, destruction of aircraft, and 4 individual counts of murder. Analysts say the charges mark a major escalation in the Trump administration's pressure campaign to achieve regime change in Cuba. The 94-year-old former president remains in Cuba, and there is no indication the Cuban government would allow his extradition. Cuba's current president denounced the indictment, calling it an act of arrogance, while Castro has been characterized by Cuban officials as a national hero. The move recalls the earlier indictment of former Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro, which the Trump administration later cited as justification for a military operation to capture him.
A former federal prosecutor in Florida has been charged with stealing the sealed volume of Special Counsel Jack Smith's report on the criminal investigation into President Trump's retention of classified documents. Carmen Mercedes Lineberger, 62, was indicted on 4 counts including theft of government property, obstruction of justice, and concealment of government records. Prosecutors allege she disguised the files as dessert recipes, emailing them to her personal accounts under file names including buntcakerecipe.pdf and chocolatecakerecipe.pdf. Lineberger served as the managing assistant United States attorney in Fort Pierce, Florida, the same courthouse where Smith's classified documents case against Trump was filed. She pleaded not guilty during a court appearance in West Palm Beach and was released without having to post bail. The volume she is accused of taking has never been made public after Judge Aileen Cannon ruled its release would cause irreparable damage to Trump and 2 co-defendants. FBI Director Kash Patel said the FBI will not hesitate to hold accountable those who violated public trust in what he called a politicized investigation. If convicted on the top charge, Lineberger faces up to 20 years in prison.
Meta began notifying roughly 8,000 employees Wednesday that their jobs are being eliminated, the largest single round of layoffs at the company since its 2023 restructuring. The cuts represent about 10% of the company's global workforce and affect divisions including Facebook Social, Reality Labs, recruiting, sales, and global operations. The company is also canceling 6,000 open job positions, bringing the effective reduction in headcount to 14,000 slots. Separately, 7,000 employees will be reassigned to newly created artificial intelligence-focused teams, including units called Applied AI Engineering and Agent Transformation Accelerator. Chief Executive Mark Zuckerberg has described 2026 as a turning point for AI inside Meta, with internal systems already automating work that once required large teams. The layoffs arrive while Meta is reporting record financial performance, with first-quarter revenue of $56.3 billion. Meta's projected capital spending for 2026 runs from $125 billion to $145 billion, nearly double its 2025 outlay. More rounds of layoffs are expected in August and later this year, with some reports suggesting the total reduction could eventually reach 20% of the workforce.
A former managing assistant United States attorney has been charged with emailing herself the sealed volume of the Jack Smith report on President Trump's classified documents case, disguising the files as cake recipes to conceal the transmissions. Carmen Leinberger allegedly received an electronic copy of the sealed report 4 days before Trump's inauguration and later forwarded it twice to personal accounts. Prosecutors say she first sent it in September under the subject line chocolate cake recipe, then again in early December under the file name buntcakerecipe.pdf. The indictment alleges she knew the transmissions violated a court order issued by Judge Aileen Cannon barring the document's release or distribution outside the Justice Department. The investigation is being handled jointly by the FBI and the Justice Department's Office of Inspector General. A special prosecutor from outside the Southern District of Florida was assigned to avoid conflicts of interest. Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche, who was Trump's personal defense lawyer in the classified documents case, has his name in the signature block of the prosecution team. Leinberger worked at the Justice Department for nearly 2 decades before retiring last December.